everybody, Dawn Kendrick here with some good news. And the good news is that you're only going to hear good news here. I am a repurposed news reporter, and I am finally doing the stories that have been burning in my heart for so long. They're stories that uplift, encourage, and inspire, and they are real, and they're raw, and they're vulnerable. They're the good stuff stories, and we see it over and over again that through it all, through the middle of our biggest challenges, together we can, together we will. Let's go see the good and be the good. On your mark, get set. Let's go. Hey, Good Stuff family. This is another edition of Growing the Good Stuff Family Tree 2023. We dedicated January to joy through the journey. So this is another profile that I couldn't wait to bring you. Another example of, in my reporter life, of a fantastic example of a man who is leading by example, bigger than I probably would be able to, having been through. No, I know for a fact bigger than I'd be able to, having been through what he's been through. But he leads by example, and I first met him as a reporter, and now it's super exciting at this stage in my life as I'm able to revisit these people who uplifted, encouraged, and inspired me then, and see where they are now, because lo and behold, they keep raising the bar, like Raymond Towler. This guy, honestly, to know him is to love him. He has an infectious smile that, for most of us, would be hard to find. Most of us would be challenged to have found a smile and then to go on and be the good stuff for others after what we call really God, really moments. And if you follow us often, then you know that really God, really moments can be big, or they can even be the little things that we get through the day of just saying, really God, this is a big one. This is a big question for God. Really God, to have been in prison for a huge part of your life for a crime you didn't commit. I'm gonna just let that sink in. And I think it was just a few days ago, earlier this week, along Highway 54 in Missouri, I noticed a billboard I had not noticed before. I don't know if it was newly up or if I was supposed to see it, but it was really simple. On the left, it said genuine Christians. And those are two words, obviously, that I'm drawn to. Our stories are real, raw, authentic, genuine, and vulnerable, and they uplift, encourage, and inspire. It said real Christians, and there was one other word on the right. Excuse me, two words. Forgive everyone. Real Christians forgive everyone. I had a phone number to call, which I did, which is a whole other series coming up. But that's hard. I think of the unforgiveness that I hold on to, and it pales in comparison to the way my friend Raymond Towler, who is beloved by so many now, it pales in comparison to the capacity that he has to forgive. Not only to forgive, but to pay, to be serving so much, to be the good stuff for so many people. He sees the good that can be done, and then he is the good for so many. I love him. I love him. So I'm going to show you, if I can, right now. We're going to go back to when I first met him, again, when I had the honor of working at Channel 3. And this was one of my most favorite stories there, and you're going to see exactly why.
It's about a man who spent almost 3 decades behind bars for a crime he didn't commit.
Since his first taste of freedom, he hasn't spent any time being bitter. Channel 3's Dawn Kendrick shows us how he continues to spread the good stuff.
This is a man who will turn 60 in a couple of weeks. A good man who spent half of those years behind bars, locked up for a crime he didn't commit. Locked up not long after he served honorably in the U.S. Army. The story of his release is not new, but what Raymond Towler has been doing since is. It's impressive. And he is a living, breathing example of the very kind of heart and soul, forgiveness, faith, and gratitude that the world sure could use more of. May 1981, Raymond Towler didn't see it coming.
Cleveland police knocked on my door with a warrant for my arrest for a rape. September 1981, Towler is convicted, life in prison.
And never seen the light of day.
He spent 29 years behind prison walls for a crime he didn't commit.
Well, it seemed like it would never end.
But on May 5th, 2010, it did, when a judge ruled whoever had raped that 12-year-old girl in the Metro Parks in Fairview Park,
and that individual is clearly not Raymond Towler.
New DNA evidence and the help of determined Ohio Innocence Project attorneys were Towler's ticket out.
Good luck, Mr. Towler.
It's a long time coming. Yes, Lord.
Towler took to painting to pass the time, a talented artist blossoming from behind prison walls. Look at this, Towler's Blue Man.
He was a strong guy, you know, no matter what emotion he was in.
That guy, hoisting the American flag, is Towler, just 17 years old when he joined the Army.
That was my life that I was prepared to give.
Blue in the picture for the injustice that did cost him 29 years of his life. Towler never lost hope, not even in the system that had failed him.
I didn't take it personal. I looked at it as it was a mistake, of course.
So Raymond Towler's newest role in his purpose-driven life?
I really want to kind of help people who are kind of lost, you know, not just because they're in prison, because they just need to hear that there is a reason for them to keep going.
Towler also now sits on the Ohio Innocence Project's board.
I'm kind of here as the voice of the exonerees.
As for bitterness,
I ain't got time for that, you know, so I was saying. Anybody got time for that? You know, so because, you know, I am free now, and, you know, I have an opportunity to live the years that I have.
He wouldn't have scripted it. He wouldn't have chosen the road it took to get here, but he accepts it. And Raymond is so committed now to what he sees as his purpose, to being the voice for other inmates convicted of crimes they didn't commit. Log on to WKYC.com for more links to our friend Raymond Towler and check out the latest chapter of his life that he's writing with music. Back to you.
Thanks, Don.
So is there any question why this man has become one of my most favorite people in all the world? I've met so many great people since then. I think it's been about 5.5 years because of him. When we say God, he's now watch him work. It's real. So this is why I'm so excited to introduce you to him and all the great stuff he's been doing since. And hopefully we weave more opportunities for him to help more people. And who knows that once you are introduced to him personally right here, the kind of weaving that I can just predict is going to be blessings already on their way for so many people. So here's I feel like I should have a drum roll. Here's my friend, Raymond Towler. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we record these all different times of the day. It'll probably be running. Morning.
I'm doing pretty good though.
Potato. Yeah, you are. And you know what? You have not let any grass grow under your feet. I know that to be true. So let me just first ask you, my friend, when you see that story again, 5.5 years ago, I think it was, what's your reaction watching that again?
First thing, I looked pretty healthy. I had a pretty clean cut on. A little chubbier, a little less, you know, gray. You know, it hasn't been that long, but it's a lot more gray now. It's my first thought. And the second one was a lot of the things that were going on with the board was the beginning of some things that really worked out for the board. You know, we don't have meetings as much as we had then, but we have exonerees getting out. You know, so it's like we put our heads together, you know, we men, you know, mainly the lawyers that you saw in that picture. And that's where my mind goes to rapidly. They really had some success from those days of planning, you know, what was going to happen and how they were going to attack. So I'm really proud of those guys.
And is it
they did a lot of the work? I was just there. Whenever they would ask me something, I would say, yeah, well, I can get my band to play some music there. I was like, that's, other than
Exactly. That's the one thing that you, even in obviously we saw in the story, even in prison, you are a musician, a talented artist. So when you got out in this exoneree band with other exonerees, it's powerful
right.
to see that. Tell me what you've been doing with them since.
Well, just that we've been playing music. But we only play a couple times of the year, so we played 3 this year. We played at Arizona at a resort, Phoenix, Arizona, I believe. I'm asking Kelly over here off camera. Then we and Springfield, Illinois. We played for the Illinois Innocent Project, who that they have been successful with getting exonerees also, because a lot of the exonerees that help in the same capacity that I helped the Ohio Innocent Project in Illinois and Chicago. The band isn't just for playing music. They're really activists, in the movement of, seeing people get free. And then one of my pet things has been creating aftercare for the guys who are freed from the courts, but they still haven't got their life back together yet. And you kind of find yourself, walking on eggshells for one.
And you know that. Again, there is one thing for someone to say, you can do this, but for someone who's been there, done that, what are the realities? Okay, great. I'm finally out. I'm forgiving in ways that all of us, it's hard for us to even fathom. But what are the realities tangibly of being out and trying to repurpose your life at that point?
Yeah, because I did have to get myself together also. It took some years. I was very fortunate. I've been blessed. The first year I was out, I had a job working at Medical Mutual, and that paid all my bills and kind of got some pride into me, and learned about finance and everything. And before anything that the state, or because of what happened to me in the past, I was able to start fresh, pretty much like everybody else in the world, I thought. And so with that, I just took in all the lessons that I had been taught, because that stuff doesn't come from anywhere. It comes from the each one teach one, kind of. That's what I grew up in. When you pass somebody and you see they need help or some education, or just pass something, whatever you have. And with that accumulation, that's what I'm doing. I'm just passing it on from what I know. So it's kind of ingrained in me. And I feel like because of that, that's why I'm here now, happy finally, even though it was hard.
Yes, it's clearly a purpose-driven life that you're leading. And I wanted to show, if I can, this picture from outside of the Exonery House. By the way, here in Cleveland is where we're coming to, y'all. That is that Al on the right? Tell me who we're looking at.
You're looking at Charles Jackson on the left of the picture, and the older guy is Isaiah Andrews. He's passed away right now, but there were the 2 guys that lived in the Exonery House last year. Yeah.
Right. And all I keep thinking is he had such an abbreviated, again, he spent most of the time in prison, but once he got out, he knew what it felt for taking care of your neighbor. He knew those among you, to be treat those, to see in the face of the poor and to see in the people who need to be uplifted. That's what you did for him. And that's powerful. It's so powerful. And in the other cases of the exonerees, tell me again, that house is a place to belong. How have you found them getting back on their feet tangibly for having had that kind of a refuge to start their repurposed life?
Well, I guess the one to talk about is Charles Jackson. I think that has really helped him, and he's kind of at his part where he's got all the tools that he's needed to start his life. And now that he has those tools, he's starting to put them together. And it's good to see somebody, taking your advice and not taking your advice when it's good for them, because it's a personal choice. So of course, what I'm saying on some things, you just got to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
And I can speak for Charles. He's been very independent and responsible. And when you see that in a person, that they're most likely going to be successful. And he's been holding true.
But you're also in the way that you're empowering others. You are, in fact, I feel like the hands and feet of Christ to them. Do you feel that way, or what role has your faith played in this?
Well, we're all should be striving to be Christ-like, I believe. And yeah, it's a lot of instances where things that I've read in the Bible come to play, like treat everybody like it was God, who just happened to be, look like my neighbor who was like 80 something over and gives me, tomatoes a little overripe, but her heart is in the right place. And so, continue to treat people, like you would want to be treated.
Yeah.
I think just doing that, it's okay. I guess that comes to it's almost like asking why do I do it? It was done for me by a couple people, and I know how it made me feel. It kind of lifted me where I can know, that I could go on, or have at least a safe place to think about what I needed to do. Not that I need to listen to what they were saying or anything like that. And I just had a free space that was safe also.
Right.
So that's very important. When I see, and if you talk to people enough, you listen close enough, they will tell you that that's what they're missing. And that's one thing that I have. I can't solve the problems of everybody, but it just so happens that I could help a few people. And the little bit of help that I give, and I've been told that is immense.
And the innocence. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That really makes me happy. That's all I said at the end.
So the Innocence Project is the reason we're sitting here today, is it not?
Sure. Yeah, they were definitely a tool, and God's plan, right?
Yes, yeah. And again, I love that you are on the board and saying, you know what, let's go, let's do. There are more like me who need that representation, who need that backing. So when you are in the Exoneree Band, I'm going to show a clip here. I believe it is, I'm sure it is the Exoneree Band, but it's not. We won't show the whole thing, but I want to give them an idea, and maybe you can, when we come back, kind of tell us, the people who are in the band, how you've seen tangibly what it means to have purpose now.
Yeah.
Or how proud are you when you watch that?
I feel pretty good because I can see the whole journey at the band. That wasn't the full band, but it was the Exoneree Band, and it was three of my friends who played here in Cleveland locally with me, except for Zaire, the drummer. He plays all over the world.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, we're real fortunate to have Zaire Darton as a drummer, a percussionist.
Knowing their stories, what types of things do you guys what are the things that you'll never take for granted ever again, besides freedom, obviously?
Just being able to play for one. I mean, it's so simple, and really have a meaning behind it. because just trying to put a band together, I've done that before, but it doesn't really mean anything all the time, just trying to play music. But when you're
Raymond,
playing music and then there's a story behind it and
uh,
a mission behind it, then that's something that's, it's rare.
right. And I'm imagining, like, even if you go to take a walk, like we're going to do after this, we're going to go have a walk in unseasonably warm weather in St. Louis. I'm sure
Mhm.
you don't just go for a walk even without thinking of the privilege of being able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Well,
And
oh,
so,
yeah, I have to put in, you got to thank Kelly for that video. That's some footage that she took for me. So
yeah,
I'm always been, an
right,
advocate for this person, yeah, that you're
right.
going to
Because
talk about.
behind every good Raymond Towler, there's a good Kelly McLaughlin. So
No,
that
I'm
would be a
pretty
given.
sure.
Yeah, move her on in. Come on, bring her in. Hi,
All
Kel.
right, there she is. Hello,
This is your
Jessica.
right hand man, right hand
That,
woman.
that's right. She has been very helpful in a lot of ways, to me.
Right.
I'm
So,
trying to.
Kel, what I met you early on too, and
I
what
did.
was it that you saw in Raymond from the very beginning that lit your heart on fire?
Oh, when I first I saw him being interviewed on the news the day he was released from prison, and the reporter said, "What? How did you survive those 30 years of being in prison?" And he said he never gave up hope. And when I heard that, I thought, "Wow, that really hit me, real emotionally." I've always been a big searcher of hope, and to
Right.
hear
We
about.
say hope is everything. We'd use that hashtag hope is everything. So, next thing you know, here comes the unstoppable force of Raymond and Kelly. We said you could almost have your own talk show with that, like Regis and
Right.
Kelly, Raymond and
Yeah.
Kelly. But what you're doing together with this X Freedom Studio, tell me, and I'll throw some pictures up here of some of the things. Your artwork's for sale for Raymond, and now you're actually even custom designing purses. All of it goes to support the Exonery House. That is layer after layer of good stuff. So tell me more about that, Raymond and Kelly. Where your hope is, to use the word again, where your hope lies now with this new phase.
Well, I've in my early dreams of being an artist, I've always wanted to use it to help somebody, even if it's just to help them have fun, like do a mural in their basement or something, or somewhere where people can, get a good impression of it. But in prison, I kind of lost some of that. And from hanging around Kelly and watching her and her daughters and some of her friends having like those little paint parties, paint and sip, you know, uh, it seemed like a lot of fun, and then, with that, I kind of saw that it was fun again, and it could be again for me. So with that, I started painting, and abstracts is something that's always come pretty natural to me. So I started there. And then all the time, Kelly has an eye of her own, in the abstract. Also, the way she puts the colors together are phenomenal, I think I can say. And so, and with us working together, making the paintings, we kind of experimented with some of the newer materials. Were definitely new to me, but very modern and popular. I found out because she started making purses, and as soon as people saw them, everybody's been crazy about them. And she's kind of got some on back order, you know. But it's been a really good experience. The galleries, and then the people like the Returning Artists Guild, who help people who are newly um, out of prison, but they're artists, and letting the people know who are still in prison that they are artists there too, and that people will reach in there, to use their skills so that their skills are still usable for them, to help their families or whatever. And OIP has been very supportive in my arts and stuff too. So it was pretty good to see that they have some, mounted down there in Cincinnati around the place that helped free me. Yeah, I had a chance to get a hall or something named after me. I passed on that. That seemed a little too big for my britches right then. So the art being there, that's perfect.
Yeah.
You see, because you're humble too. Is this a self-portrait or a
No, that's an apt that this Kelly is really, the what's that? Snapchat.
Yeah.
She's got some Snapchat days in her, and there's something her and her daughter has been trading. But now
that's one of the original ones, right? Even from prison, I think the one we're showing now is
right. This was made back in the 90s,
right?
Maybe even late 80s.
Okay.
When I finally had access to oil paints, that's kind of where I learned how to oil paint, also.
All right, and so I want to make sure. What'd you say?
That's like Lucasville right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure that for the people who are listening on the podcast, not watching the stream here, the webpage is x-freedomstudio.org, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
That website will take you to where the Exoneree home is explained, and the mission of the X Freedom Studio is explained also, and it has a page where people can volunteer and help out the exonerees or the disabled people that are residing in the homes that X Freedom Studio has.
And can we talk briefly about this? You were mentioning Jennifer Thompson, a friend of yours who has been instrumental now. Tell me more about that Healing Justice program.
Yeah, Healing Justice is really growing because they are like the aftercare after what the Innocent Project does. And definitely when you have exoneree, there's a wave of things that happen, afterwards. It's not just one person that's affected; it's a whole family of, victims and the family, and then it becomes victims on both sides of the aisle, if you even want to say it like that. And so this organization kind of deals with that pain that's caused from trust in the machine that got antiquated. It was a discovery of new science, and after the institution was working on the old science, so you're going to have that window where everything is getting corrected and updated. We update our computers, but we haven't updated fully our legal systems, criminal justice system.
Yeah, and the support network on the way out. It is so hard. We've done stories to be reintegrated.
Yeah, and like you said, part of that support system is what the Exoneree home is, and Healing Justice is part of the aftercare for victims who find out that they pointed to the wrong person. Then they got that guilt feeling. It's one of the things that they deal with, but it's definitely aftercare. After that tsunami, sometimes it's like a breeze, but for some people, it's really life-shattering. I've witnessed it, with my own eyes.
Sure.
And witnessed the healing that goes on afterwards. It's not instant healing, but I've been dealing with them probably since for that interview. I forget, I should have, put it in times, but I've been to at least 4 retreats, and that was with COVID in between that.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of healing and the time that it takes, and what's effective, So I can always speak up for Healing Justice and Jennifer Thompson's mission, her movement.
Kel, I know that you work so hard on that community around the Exoneree House. They're in. they're in and cleaning up and doing yard work, the fundraiser. What's your experience with that and rallying people to support the repurposed lives that are happening out of that home?
Oh, in fact, on December 28th, when the Exoneree Band played in Lakewood, one of the attorneys came up to Raymond and I, and she said, "Look around this room. Around this room is a community that you two have built. The residents of the Exoneree homes, the attorneys who have helped the exonerees, the volunteers, the it's been great. There were about 50 people there that were all there because of the Exoneree home involvement that they have. We've met some wonderful, wonderful people who come to our organized volunteer events and then still go out on their own, and will reach out to one of the exonerees and say, "Hey, do you want to go out to lunch with me today? I'll pick you up." And they'll go to IHOP, and Raymond and I will get pictures from both the exoneree and the volunteer. Thumbs up, had a great breakfast.
Yeah.
Great. Talk about the ripple effect. Then
Right, like
that
this
volunteer tells his neighbor, they invite another exoneree to come speak at their church, and it continues.
That's exactly what I was going to say, that pebble into the pond, or what
Right.
we say, God weaves, now watch him work. The fact that I'm even speaking with you guys today with so much between that original interview, so many good stuff, people we've introduced to each other and woven, that it's not lost on me that is real. And that goes to our second mantra, which is together we can, together we will. Like, you guys have seen that to be true, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. As long as you kind of do your homework, I like to think, you educate yourself on what your tasks, need to be, and that way you can realistically look at what that task is. If it is something I can do, or something I need to do, with some help, or just leave it up to somebody else who can actually do it. If you're honest with yourself, then things can start rolling into the right direction for you. Sometimes the modesty is necessary, at least self-examination.
Well, and there's an author named Bob Goff, who I say he's my friend and mentor, who doesn't know it yet, because he
Okay.
speaks so much to me. Literally on the front page of one of his books, it says it's in the middle where all the good stuff happens. I'm like, that's me
Yeah.
in the middle of my life. But he also, I learned from him, and it's so true, and it's what you were just alluding to, is that he says to align yourselves with the people who are adjacent to your hopes and your dreams. And
Mm,
that's what you said. What can I do? And if I can't, let me
Right.
look to who can do it.
yeah,
And that's how you guys are building this community.
yeah.
Right.
Because it's easy when somebody's looking for you to do something that you're good at already.
Mhm. Sure.
That's something you've always, exercised, and that's the way the system works, or can work, should work, huh?
Right.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I get that. We are the trajectory of this good stuff family platform, and telling stories like yours is off and running. And it's because people believe in it and they're supporting it. And it's always, if anyone knows or has to grapple even with, that it's God's timing, not ours. You get that, if anyone does.
Yeah, 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 because nothing happened for me and while I was in prison until I gave it away,
Oh, tell me more about
totally
that.
out of. Well, I normally don't speak that much of it because really it wasn't a lot. I mean, it didn't take a long speech, but it did take a look at God, and whatever, the third eye, whatever it was, spiritual realm, and just say, okay, man, it's all up to you. Just like that. And then
There it is.
not we'll maybe wait on it because you don't know when it's going to happen, but at least, if you do have faith, you can at least relax a little bit and just know. And soon after that, I knew that, everything just started, well, my hands out the picture. Everything
Okay.
just started sliding into place.
Mm. I
And
love
it's
that.
kind of amazing to look back on it, that's proof,
Mhm.
and proof was making itself evident. I can't really speak on how, but it was mainly just a feeling,
Mhm.
a peace was coming.
Mm. With
Yeah.
the peace that surpasses all understanding from Philippians. So, right? It says it will
I,
protect your hearts and your minds through Christ Jesus. And I think about
yeah,
that so often that I'm sure he could have saved some words and said, we'll protect you through Christ Jesus. But it's like Paul knew that our hearts and our minds are so different. They're so
Right.
different, and to find that peace that surpasses all understanding and to hear from someone like you who found it behind bars and then everything kind of slid into place. He's so using you right now. Do you feel that way, Raymond, that God
I'm,
is using you?
I'm cool with it.
The best.
I'm
You're
okay
so
with
humble. All right. Well, I love you guys. I am so grateful for the good stuff that you're doing. That's leading to more good stuff and more good stuff. And I can't wait to see what the next 5.5 years bring. And I'm just grateful
it.
to call you my friends. I love you like
Mhm.
family. God bless you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dawn. Thanks for
Thank you.
everything.
Yeah. See you soon. We won't wait for 5 years.
No, it's not going to be 5 years for Pete's sake. We have work to do. We have work to do. All right,
Yeah.
to everyone listening, thank you as well. We're so grateful for you. If you could find a way today to get out there and see the good in others and be the good for them. God bless.
Huge love and gratitude to our friend Carlos Jones. He is the talented voice and creator behind the music that sets the tone here for these good stuff stories. Big love and gratitude as well for our social media director, Danielle Folk, consistently going above and beyond for us. Follow her on social media at Farmhouse Storyteller. And to producer Travis Ford, the glue that holds together the moving parts of this God-inspired endeavor. TheGoodStuffFamily.com is where you'll find links to all the things we're doing, including how to sponsor a story of your own. So grateful for our faithful sponsors who already make so much of what we do possible. And of course, big love and gratitude for you, the listeners, helping to grow this Good Stuff family tree 2023.